Hello, welcome friends from LinkedIn and YouTube. I need to go over to my Facebook page and go live there separately. So if you can be patient with me for just a few seconds, that would be fantastic. I think we're good. Let me just check, make sure we're live in the Facebook group. Facebook changed the rules for StreamYard, so we're having to kind of do a little bit of this every time. All right, I think we're good. Yep. All right. We are live. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me for this Q&A session. I am Jeannie Petrucci. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and the founder of Living Plate RX. And today we are going to be talking about how to identify your niche and kind of all the things around that. Identifying a niche can be a challenge for nutrition professionals because we're not trained on marketing and sales and why that can be important. And it's something that a lot of our community members have been asking us about lately. So moving forward, actually, this is how the Q&A sessions are going to roll. We're going to have our community, our active member community at Living Plate RX, select the topic by voting in a poll. So today, we are going to be addressing the 4 key questions that came out of this poll. And we're going to cover them all. Things like, is my niche too broad or too narrow? How do I even figure out what my niche is? How can I make sure that it's viable? So we're going to cover all of that. 4 key questions we'll cover. But if you have any other questions about identifying your niche or really anything else related to Living Plate RX, please feel free to ask. We have a variety of team members on with us today in LinkedIn, YouTube, and also the private Facebook group. So please feel free to ask questions. Oh, Hillary, thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Liz. Hi, Erica. Great. Hi, Carrie. Great to see you all. So also, I want to let you know up front that if you are feeling stuck, and you feel like you need more personal guidance with practice growth, creating content around your niche, I have a great opportunity for you. If you are not yet a Living Plate RX member, at the end of this call, we're going to drop a group demo call link where you will be able to get on a Zoom call with me and we just chat. We chat about all things related to your practice and how you can grow a sustainable, profitable practice by leveraging a lot of the tools and resources that we have. So let's go ahead now and dive right in. We're going to start with question number 1, which got the most votes in our poll, which is, how do I choose a niche if I have multiple areas of expertise? This is such a great question because, especially as dietitians and most health and wellness professionals, you are trained to treat a variety of conditions using medical nutrition therapy. So it's almost counterintuitive to try and lock into one, but I promise you that that will support practice growth, and we'll talk through the steps, why that is today. So niching down is about focusing on one area where you can solve a very specific problem for a very specific group of people. So think about not only where your skills align, especially if you've been in practice for a year or 2, or even like me, I went into becoming a dietitian with a very clear focus on what my niche was going to be, which we'll talk about. But think about your skills and how it aligns with your passion, and that will help you identify your need. For example, if you have interest in gut health and you do a lot of your professional development around gut health, you're going to want to focus on that. Now, gut health is super broad, right? So you can get really, really niched even within gut health. So, the gut-brain connection or gut health as it relates to post-treatment for cancer patients, right? So you can get more specific, but let's say it's gut health. You can choose that. Let's say you have an interest in brain health and serving people who have been touched by certain brain conditions, right? Like Alzheimer's or cognitive decline or concussive recovery. I mean, there's a lot of different things in that niche too that you can focus on. Basically, what I'm saying is pick a lane, right? Pick a lane and just start exploring kind of as it relates to your passion and your skill set. Now, your skill set can always catch up, right? If you have a passion and you really want to lock into potentially support people who are on GLP-1 medications, this is something very, very new that we're supporting our community with, then you need to really accelerate your professional development in that area. So you don't have to come to a niche with the experience and the knowledge. You can actually get it because as a nutrition professional, you know where to get that guidance, right? So don't necessarily limit yourself. Oh, hi, Vandana. Hi, Amanda, Maureen, Unita. Great to see you. Penny. Hi. Great to see you all. All right. So what I'm promising to do in this Q&A session and sessions moving forward is as we answer questions for you, we're going to give you actions that you can take so that you can operationalize these concepts, right? So the first concept really is, how do I choose my niche if I have multiple areas of expertise? I'm now going to cover the actions that you can take to help uncover that. If you already have a niche, I encourage you to even go through this exercise because it can be really helpful. For those of you who are on with us, who are Living Plate RX members, these questions are actually part of a worksheet inside of your library. It's in the business tools section, and it's called the brand mission worksheet. All of these questions are there, and it's a fillable PDF. So feel free to head to your library when the session is over and you can complete it there. But let's think about these questions now. First, I'm going to ask you the questions, and then I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to answer them from the point of view of me as a practitioner, because this is going to reveal what my niche was. So number one, what makes you angry about a segment of nutrition care? Like really what gets you worked up? Passion isn't always about, oh, I want to do good for the world. Sometimes it's something that ignites a fire in you. So maybe you were touched by a condition that, you really struggled with and you really want to help people, right? So think about what makes you angry about a segment of nutrition care. Number two, what breaks your heart about a segment of nutrition care? So here we're talking about getting really digging into more of the emotional connection that you will have with a community, right? So what breaks your heart about a segment of nutrition care? Number three, what's the problem you're trying to solve, considering your answers to question 1 and 2? And then number four, what are you going to do about it? So let's go through the example now. So number one, what makes you angry about a segment of nutrition care? For me, this happened very early on. It was one of the reasons why I became a registered dietitian as a second career. What made me angry was that people who have been touched by cancer are often taken advantage of because of their urgent needs. Number two, what breaks your heart about this segment of nutrition care? That people who have been touched by cancer are vulnerable, very vulnerable, and at times desperate for solutions. And I knew the answer to these first two questions because I did a lot of work in the oncology population around my practice. And I saw this over and over, that people have been touched by cancer, they're taken advantage of, and they're very, very vulnerable. So what made me angry and what broke my heart about the situation? So number three, what's the problem that I'm trying to solve here? Like, why does this exist? And what is the problem that I can solve? I can bring evidence-based care to this community with a strong level of compassion. That's what I can do. And then specifically, what am I going to do about it, right? So the problem I'm trying to solve is make them less vulnerable and really empower them so that they don't get taken advantage of. And now we're going to be getting into, what am I going to specifically do about it? I'm going to work with partners who serve this community to bring dynamic, non-intimidating, evidence-based care with a strong level of compassion. This last piece is really important. And it's kind of like the birthplace of Living Plate RX, because when I would speak to, even before I was a dietitian, I wasn't providing nutrition education. I really was just teaching people how, I was a culinary instructor. I was teaching people how to cook. And when I was doing that in the oncology centers or in the oncology nonprofits, I was being peppered with questions because this community is vulnerable and they've been receiving information from a variety of non-evidence-based sources. So I knew once I became a dietitian that I was going to really lock in here. And what I found was that just giving a nutrition talk, this is a really good lesson. So listen up for this specific niche and others as well, that when I would give a nutrition talk, the topic was intimidating. Like, these people are overwhelmed with information, right? But if I did a culinary demonstration and throughout that demonstration, I delivered the nutrition education, it really broke open the doors. It broke down that barrier, being intimidated and being overwhelmed. And it really made the community feel welcome. So offering these culinary nutrition demonstrations was a way for me to express my empathy to what this community was feeling. So I encourage you to, and Maureen is saying she agrees totally. Yeah. So please share, while those of you, we have a bunch of people joining us, please drop in what your niche is, or maybe a niche that you're starting to explore, and we can talk about it. Please feel free to drop that here. All right. So Living Plate RX members, go to your library, the brand mission worksheet. You can answer these 4 questions for yourself and really explore how it makes you feel. And I think you can sense, like, as I was answering these questions with what my niche was and what my interest still continues to be, hopefully you can sense my passion around it, right? So if you're starting to get worked up and you're like, yes, I can solve this problem, you found your niche. So that's it's a great process to go through. All right. Now, it doesn't mean you can't serve other people. Of course you can, but you want to try and build a niche that really lights you up inside, right? And that's where you get a practice where your job satisfaction is a lot higher as well. All right, now we're going to move on to question number 2. How do I balance between too broad and too narrow a niche? This was almost actually equal to number 1. So great question. Finding the right balance between kind of broad and narrow is about 2 things: knowing your audience and understanding what your goals are. Right? Know your audience and understand what your goals are. I would start with answering those questions for number 1, and then that'll kind of help you, okay, understand, do I know this audience and what are my goals? Like, what do I want to accomplish in my practice, both kind of mission oriented, but then also financially, like, how am I going to make this practice grow? All right, so here are some actions and considerations and questions that you can ask yourself for striking that balance between potentially being too broad or too narrow. Number 1, you want to start with a problem, not a population. All right. So this is awesome. Celine is saying, so Celine Thompson is a member of our community and her focus is fertility, right? So that is her niche kind of lane. That is her lane. Specifically, she serves a population of unexplained infertility. So that is the problem. So nailed it, Celine. That is the problem. Unexplained fertility. So serving people who've been touched by unexplained fertility. Now, immediately you think women, but that's not totally true, because infertility also relates to the partner as well, right? Or if the woman is trying to conceive on her own. So it can become quite complex, and you can niche down even further with infertility, right? You can serve both men and women, but you're really focused on the problem. So and this problem should be something that you're passionate about. If you're really going to lock in here, you're going to be passionate about it. Shakayla is saying married mompreneurs. So Shakayla, tell me, what is the problem that you're going to solve for that population? So back it up 1 and think about the problem. I'm sure you know it, so you can just drop it in here. Barbara, I know you have a niche as well. So share with us, drop what the problem is that you're solving for a specific population. So here's an example: helping women in their 30s. So women in their 30s is not a niche, right? But the problem is that they have hormone imbalances. So helping women in their 30s manage hormone imbalances during menopause or with nutrition, right? So getting more specific. The problem is hormone imbalance during menopause. The population is, women likely between 45 and 60. Making sense? All right, so number 1, start with a problem, not a population. And if you have your population that you want to work with, great. So like if you want to work with athletes, that's amazing. But think about all the problems that athletes can experience. Like maybe it's low energy during a workout. Maybe it's they're not building enough muscle mass and they're working out like crazy, right? So think about how you're going to solve a problem for that population. Number 2, test for scalability. So helping women in their 30s, I'm going to use that example, balance hormones specifically after discontinuing birth control pills. That's going to be a little bit narrow, right? Because it's a specific point in time and eventually they're not going to need you anymore. So while it's real and can be a specific need, it might limit your audience too much. So you want to make sure that it's not too narrow. You also want a balanced niche. So helping women in their 30s manage hormone imbalances during menopause to boost energy, improve mood, and support overall health. That is a balanced niche. It's specific enough to target a clear audience, and it addresses common pain points and problems. Like there's more than one problem here, right? It's kind of like a syndrome, the energy, the mood, and weight potentially. So that all kind of comes together as to one big problem with women in their 30s. Actually, it wouldn't even be 30. So that would be very early for menopause. So I got that one a little wrong. So I would say women in their 40s, 50s, right, who are potentially perimenopausal. Right. But it could be women in their 30s with hormone imbalances due to PCOS. Right. And what are the problems associated with that community? Shakila is saying for her population of married mompreneurs, the problem is fatigue and burnout from barely surviving to thriving without sacrificing their peace. So the problem is fatigue and burnout. And I would encourage you to go even a little bit deeper. What's causing that? Is it because they're trying to get family meals on the table and they just don't have any time? Right. So think even a little bit deeper than that. Michelle is saying that her niche is now empty nesters who want to feel more youthful as they age and get control of their weight and find energy and vitality. That's great. So your population is empty nesters. That's great. What is the problem? The problem is weight, lack of energy, lack of vitality, being tired. Yeah. So really kind of dig into those problems a little bit, Michelle. I think empty nesters is probably a little too broad of a niche, and we're going to want to get a little bit more specific. So, if I'm an empty nester and I am working, right? Am I an empty nester and I'm looking at retirement? We have a member who focuses on, building healthy nutrition and getting yourself ready for retirement. So think a little bit deeper than that. Barbara is saying helping moms and grandmoms find more time, celebrate family traditions with less stress in the kitchen. That's great. So the problem is time. It sounds like, Barbara. Yeah, it's time and culinary confidence, it sounds like, for you. So really work this through and try and find your balanced niche. All right. Great. Thanks for the participation in the group, guys. All right. Number 3 is, what if I choose a niche and it doesn't work out, right? What if after asking these questions, like I'm not able to attract my niche audience with, presenting the solution to the problem that they have? Remember, I'm going to remind everybody here that there are 3 things that you must do to have a thriving practice, or just a profitable practice, or break-even practice, like whatever your goal is, right? I always just wanted to keep the lights on, right? But there are 3 things that you must have as part of your sales funnel. You need to be able to attract people to your practice at the top of your funnel. You need to serve them with immense value, right? So how are you going to solve their problem? And then you need to retain them with really, dynamic programming and content. Now, at the top of the funnel, it's attracting your ideal customer avatar. That ideal customer avatar is the person who kind of fits really well into your niche. If you're not able to attract them, then I'm going to encourage you to think about brainstorming before you abandon your niche, right? So there are several reasons why potentially your niche isn't working out. Maybe it's not lighting you up enough, right? I actually hear that quite a bit in the registered dietitian community, right? Just lack of job satisfaction. Like I love serving people and I want to help people, of course, but it's just not lighting me up inside. You need to go back to the actions that I covered with question number 1, key number 1, which is, asking yourself those questions about what makes you angry, what breaks your heart, right? You need to kind of dive into that and revisit it. Maybe you're finding it hard to find and connect with people in your niche. So if you do the niching right, it's going to be so clear what your marketing plan should be. Now, if those of you who joined me on my webinar 2 weeks ago about growing your practice without social media, we talked about this a lot. There is so much that you can do outside of social media to attract people into your funnel, and you want to attract your niche population into your funnel, that if your niche is done right, if you've calculated it right, your partners are going to be so obvious. So for example, what I spoke about in me answering those questions with key number one, the oncology population. So who am I going to partner with to make sure I can get people to my practice? It's very clear. I'm going to partner with oncologists. I'm going to partner. Oh, looks like my video is going a little wonky here. Are we okay on the video? Let's see here. Hillary, are we okay on the video? Just let me know. It looks like it's going okay, but I'm looking at my phone and it's being funny. Okay. So let's go back to, yeah, it's okay. All right. I'm looking at my phone here and it's going a little wonky. So understanding, again, we're talking about number 3. What if I choose a niche and it doesn't work out? So explore, maybe it's not lighting you up enough. And then maybe you're just not getting people into your niche. Now, before you jump, getting into your funnel, before you jump ship, go back and think about, have I been clear about who I'm serving and how I'm going to solve this problem? Because your partners should be very, very obvious. And again, for me, it was oncology centers, oncologists, potentially functional medicine doctors, oncology nonprofits. Like, it became very, very clear. All right. So know that your niche is not permanent. You can select a niche. You can try it, especially if you're first getting started, or potentially you want to explore this new niche of serving people who are taking GLP-1 medications. This is a new niche. And I think that it could be potentially a very fulfilling and profitable one for nutrition professionals. So maybe you want to explore that. It's something very new that we're going to be supporting you with. Lots of content that we can support you with solving the problems for this niche. But that becomes very clear. Right. So if you're serving people who are taking GLP-1 medications and are having a hard time maintaining muscle mass, then you not only know who you need to partner with, right, those practitioners who are prescribing the GLP-1s, but you also need to know what kind of content you need to provide them. Like, literally, what are you going to be doing? All right, what matters most is that taking action. You need to take action, you need to test your niche, and you need to kind of adapt it as you grow. So here are the actions that you can take. Evaluate your client demand. So ask yourself the question, am I struggling to find clients because my niche is too narrow, or it's because I haven't found avenues for reaching my audience yet? This is a perfect example. If you are using social media to reach your niche and they're not coming to you, it's not because you have the wrong niche. It's you have the wrong vehicle, the wrong marketing vehicle, right? Potentially social media isn't where you're going to be attracting those people. You need to find other ways. Again, if you have not listened to the recording of that webinar, I don't know if we can drop that link. Sorry to drop this on you guys, Hillary and Hillary and Jen and Molly, who are on with us. If we have that kind of evergreen link for the webinar, that could be really great for everybody listening too. All right, so evaluate your client demand and really just do some thinking around, am I doing the right marketing? Now, if your niche is on point, marketing is going to be super easy. You're going to know exactly what your messaging is because you're going to know who you're talking to. The second action that you can take is really assess your interest and energy. That really goes back to the first question. Like, what am I angry about this? Is this really a problem that I want to solve, or am I just chasing it for another reason? So you have to feel excited. You really shouldn't be feeling drained. Like, if you're getting on a call with a client and you're like either begging that they don't show up. I remember when I was doing motivational interviewing with Molly Kellogg, she's like, if you're excited because a client doesn't show up for an appointment, you're serving the wrong population. So you really need to be in it. You really want to be able to serve these people. Passion is going to be your key ingredient for building a sustainable practice around a certain niche. So questions to ask yourself to reevaluate your niche before we get to our final question and key number 4. So, is this niche solving a significant problem that people are actively seeking help with, right? Is time a significant problem for the people that you're serving. Because if that's a problem that you're trying to solve, you need to make sure that that's truly a problem for them. Have I given my niche enough time and effort to test its viability? Again, if you have picked a niche and you're going on social media and you're like, oh, you're like, people aren't signing up, it's probably not the niche. It's probably that social media is not the right vehicle for you, right? So evaluate if you've given it enough of an effort and you've identified enough partners and enough referrals and all of that to kind of make it work. Do you have expertise within this niche and resources to address the challenges of this niche effectively, right? So if you are deciding that you are going to work with people who are taking GLP-1 medications, number one, you have to consume the professional development so that you can get up to speed on it. Now, GLP-1s, they're not new. They've been around a long time, but the way that they're being applied and the problems that we're seeing in populations, that is kind of new. So it's not like you're learning something completely new, but you're learning a different type of MNT, right? A different approach to the MNT for these patients and these clients. So make sure that if you are going to pick a niche that you're not totally comfortable with, yeah, I encourage you to do it, but get the professional development necessary and make sure that you have the resources. For members of Living Plate RX, we provide you with all of the resources and the content that you need. So you don't have to worry about not having resources. You're not going to abandon a niche for lack of resources because Living Plate RX gives you everything that you need, right? All the client materials, the courses, and all of that. But it really is about what is your comfort level. You really need to be able to make sure that you can move the needle for these patients and get them the transformation you're promising. And then lastly here, would expanding the niche slightly or maybe even narrowing it further better serve my audience? All right. So for example, women in their 50s who are, struggling with perimenopause and menopause, that's a good niche, but maybe you really want to narrow down further to maybe it's going to be weight loss for that population, or maintaining weight, or maintaining muscle mass. Or hormone balance, whatever your area of expertise is, you can kind of niche down a little bit further. So again, you'd want to experiment with that. Oh, Hillary, thank you for dropping the webinar link. Jessica, welcome. Cynthia, welcome. Okay, great. So our last question and the last key to identifying your niche is, number one, why do I need a niche? Do I even need one? Can't I just, be a nutrition professional and help everyone? Having a niche is really going to allow you to be a specialist rather than a generalist, which really is critical for building trust, authority, and a sustainable practice. Think about it. If you injure your knee, are you going to go to your general practitioner? Probably not, like maybe first, but you're eventually going to want to see a specialist because you value their area of expertise for your specific problem. And guess what? The specialist gets paid more. That's just kind of how it works, right? So if you have a specialty and you are serving a really painful problem for people, you're going to be able to charge more. So that is the case for not being a generalist and for selecting a niche. So while targeting everyone might be a way, you might think that it's a way to attract more clients, it's definitely going to lead to diluted marketing messaging for sure, because you can't speak to everybody all the time. And you're just going to be less effective at marketing your practice. And again, remember, you need to, number one, attract people into your funnel. And if you're not doing that with your marketing and your messaging, you're not going to be able to build a practice, right? So trying not to speak to everybody, but speaking to a specific problem of a population. I want to just pause here for a second, not pause, but just note here about insurance-based practices, because a lot of times we think, well, if we're an insurance-based practice, we have to be a generalist. We have to serve everybody. That is not the case. Taking insurance doesn't mean that you have to be a generalist. It simply means that you will likely, like at the top of your funnel, you might attract a wider audience kind of initially. But even when you're accepting insurance, like having a niche can help you stand out. It can help you streamline your marketing, your client retention, and your practice growth. If you have somebody come into your practice who would be better served by somebody who has a different, niche than you do, you can refer them out, right? So again, thinking about physicians and kind of their specialties, if they have somebody sitting in front of them, they take insurance, they can bill insurance for all kinds of things. But if they have somebody in front of them who is not in their area of specialty, they can refer them. You have to take care of that patient, but either you're going to provide that therapy or you're going to refer them to somebody else who can, right? That client does need to be taken care of. So again, doesn't mean that you have to abandon serving all. It just means that you are going to be focusing your marketing and your energy on your niche. Here are a few reasons why being a generalist doesn't work. You end up competing with literally like every other nutrition, health, and wellness professional offering general services. So it makes it much harder for you to stand out. And your marketing messages have to be too broad, which again, we talked about the dilution. It really weakens your message's impact. So for example, I help people live healthier lives is much less compelling than I help women in their 40s overcome fatigue and hormone imbalances through targeted nutrition during menopause or perimenopause, right? So just it becomes a more compelling message. Here is why having a niche is going to support your practice growth. Number one, specialists, or people who niche down, build authority faster. Number two, clear messaging attracts the right clients. If you have a specific interest and niche and you continue to market to everyone, you're going to be serving people kind of outside of that niche more often, and you're going to kind of lose your passion and the thing that ignited you in the first place. So being clear with your messaging is going to get the right people into the counseling chair or into your virtual counseling session. Marketing just becomes a whole lot easier because you know exactly the problem you're trying to solve, who you're trying to reach, and how you're going to solve that problem. And then stronger referrals. You're going to have people who you are solving a very specific and hopefully painful problem for them. It's not good that they have this painful problem, but it's good that you're going to be able to solve it. Those people are coming to you with a different level of urgency. They have a specific problem that they want to solve. And if you can solve it for them, you're going to get stronger referrals out of that. And then you also can have deeper client relationships, right? You're able to offer deeper insights for these clients. And it's really meaningful to them. Jennifer, welcome. Good to see you here. Hey, Tamar, good to see you. All right. Any other questions on identifying your niche? So I'm just going to review really quickly here and if you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to roll it back, rewind, and you can listen. We addressed how do you choose a niche if you have multiple areas of expertise. Number two, how do I balance between too broad and too narrow of a niche? Number three, what if I choose a niche and it doesn't work out? Again, don't worry, you just need to experiment, and we talked you through that. Why do I even need a niche, and why can't I just serve everyone? We talked about the difference between being a specialist rather than a generalist. Let me see. Jeannie D. Simone, you spell your name just like I do. That's great. I don't see that often. So thank you so much for my community for answering the poll and providing us with the insights for this Q&A. Thank you for everybody who's engaging in this live. Again, if you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to ask questions. You can tag me or my team and we'll get back to you. This recording will be in the Facebook group for everyone to watch. Now, I want to make sure that everybody feels supported here today so that they can define their niche, which is really a critical step to building a thriving practice. And maybe it sparked some questions for you, or maybe you're feeling a little vulnerable right now, and it's okay. I want to make sure that everybody feels supported. So we are going to be offering group demo calls. And the group demo calls, we're going to be dropping the link pretty soon here. The group demo calls are going to allow you to get on a Zoom call with me to kind of work through how Living Plate RX and all the resources can help you grow your practice. And some of the things we're going to be talking about on this group demo call specifically is Living Plate's, our three-prong approach to building a successful practice. On all of these calls, we get very similar questions about, what do I need to grow a thriving practice? Having a niche is one, which we talked about, but there are really three pillars of like basics of building a foundation for a practice. Number one, you need a vehicle. You need a vehicle to deliver the services to your clients and to your patients. That vehicle is your EHR, mandatory. Number two, you need content and resources, right? So you have the vehicle to deliver all of your things to your ideal customer avatar in your niche. You also need content and resources relevant to your niche. That is Living Plate RX. We provide you with all of the content and resources you need to solve the problem for your identified niche. And then you also need to promote your practice. We use String Connect. We are huge fans of String Connect, which is a marketing system. So emails, DM automation, really landing pages, really ways that you can reach out and capture people, your ideal customer avatar in your niche, into your funnel. So the three things that we will cover in these discovery calls is number one, all of this content that you have access to, and we give you kind of a tour of that on the discovery calls. And then how are you going to be delivering this content to your clients and potentially what it looks like marketing that, right? And getting people into your funnel. So the reality is that you need to do these three things, and it's going to cost you about $350 per month to start your private practice with these three things: EHR, Living Plate, and the content, and a marketing system. About $350, right? If you don't have those three things, it's like, we were just talking about this with my team. It's like sitting on a three-legged stool without one of the legs. Right? So you have this niche, you have this passion, you want to solve this problem. And if you're sitting on a stool that doesn't have three legs, you're just not going to have your footing in order to grow your practice. So you need those three legs to the stool. You need your EHR, you need your marketing system, and you need Living Plate RX. Without Living Plate RX, you will be creating all of the content yourself. You will be solving the problem by creating all of the content yourself. You can't solve a client's problem by just talking to them, right? You need a significant amount of content and resources to support them with behavior change. And that's what Living Plate is going to support you with. We give you back all of that time. If you think about what kinds of content and resources you need to provide your niche clients, like, it's a full-time job. It is a full-time job just creating the content. So it's, when you sign on with Living Plate RX, it's like hiring an MSRD to be, your partner in your practice, giving you everything that you need. So I strongly encourage you, if you're not a Living Plate RX member yet, join these demo calls. Definitely not hard sell, people. Like, we all get together and we talk about really what are your needs, like how are you solving a problem for a specific population, and how we can help. If we can help, great. Then it's a good match. We're just really here to support you in growing your practice and reaching the people within your niche in a way that is authentic, that is branded for you, right? You don't want to be using somebody else's content, right? With Living Plate RX, you get to brand and edit all of this content. So you really get to mold these experiences for solving the problem for your niche. So we are dropping the link to the call. This discovery call is for non-members only. If you're a member, I'm super excited to also tell you, we're not dropping the link for that right now, but we're going to be dropping that link and emailing that to you shortly. We are providing strategy sessions, and they are going to be in a Zoom room. So we will continue to do these Q&A sessions to support our broader community, but for members only, we are going to be hosting these Zoom room coaching calls for you, where we can dive into really using all pillars of your stool, right, to helping you grow your practice, really leveraging the Living Plate RX content to make sure that you can deliver it to your clients in your niche and that you can have an effective marketing strategy. Hi, Eugenia, good to see you. All right, do we have any other questions? Hillary, is there anything that I missed? Let me know. We have quite a few people joining us now. So please, you can go back and watch the recording. It's been my pleasure speaking with you today. Do not forget to book a demo call if you're not a Living Plate RX member. If you are a Living Plate RX member, keep your eyes open for the Zoom strategy sessions that we're going to be providing very, very shortly for you. Betsy is making a statement here. We're not really asking a question. Let's see here. My niche is great, and I've had success in the past, but it's not working as well for my population. For the past 2 years, I'm stuck and would like to attend a Zoom room when when does that meet? That's great, Betsy. Betsy, tell me what your niche is. No, so super interesting that even though you've selected the right niche, it can change. And perfect example is, let's say you've been a weight loss dietitian. The introduction and the ubiquity of GLP-1 medications has changed the game for you. Now, I propose that it has expanded the population in your niche. Some people think that, oh, with these medications, people don't need me anymore. That is so not true. They actually need you more than ever. So, but it has changed. It has pivoted, right? So Betsy is saying gymnasts, right? So it's not working as well for her right now. So, potentially it's time to either pivot to a different problem within that niche, or potentially pivot a niche. I mean, if you serve gymnasts, you serve athletes, right? So thinking about where there could be other opportunities for you as well. Oh, thank you so much, Shakayla, for your comments. She's saying that this was very helpful. Watch the recording, ask me questions, you can tag me, and we will be very responsive to all of you. Oh, Betsy, thank you. Betsy is saying her niche is highly specified. So it's high-level competitive gymnasts. Okay. So yes, you can join. If you are a member, Betsy, you can join the Zoom sessions, which I believe are going to start in early January, but we're going to start communicating with you about those. Really excited to really literally get in a room and talk about any concerns or barriers, celebrate successes with our members, because we will all learn from each other. Betsy, okay. All right, terrific. Thank you, Hillary, for responding to that. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I am looking forward to seeing you at our next Q&A session. We're going to be doing this twice per month. So those of you who are joining us on YouTube and LinkedIn, please be aware that we will be posting these lives. I strongly encourage you to join our private Facebook group, Scale Your Nutrition Practice. Hillary, if you want to drop that link, actually, you don't want to drop it in the Facebook group. If Molly, if you're on YouTube and LinkedIn, if you could drop the link to join the private Facebook group, that would be great. This is where we actually pin the recording so that you can watch it, and we make announcements, and we really have great conversations. So everybody have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.